Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Today, I'm delighted to welcome special guest Amara Palmer, who's here to talk about a lot of things, but we're going to kick off with a question, which is, what is real? And I can already imagine people thinking, well, if you know what's real, please tell me. So it's a big question. Amara carries a message that is both radical and deeply comforting, which is every living being, without exception, has the potential to awaken from the dream of separation, not in some distant lifetime or idealized future, but always now. Her approach is gentle, compassionate, and refreshingly agenda-free. The intention is not to fix or change ourselves, but to release the contractions that perpetuate a sense of separation and to recognize our true nature, that which can never be truly divided. So I absolutely love that. And you can find Amara at amarapalmer.com. So Amara, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Catherine. It's really good to be here.
My complete pleasure. So this question, what is real? And I know this, among other things, you've been exploring for many years. So, and you also mentioned
Yes.
before we started recording that your answer to this question might be different at different times. So in this moment here today, what does that question mean to you? That question, what is real?
Yeah. So I'm realizing just now it's really a matter of context. So when I'm with my clients, many times what's not real is coming in to confuse things. And so it's really important to sink into what's real now. And the only time we can find what's real is now, of course, this timeless time, right now. So I just invite everybody to just settle in and be with this moment as it's appearing. And what brings comfort every time is to recognize sensations, sounds, color, tastes and smells that are happening now. That brings us back into a kind of kindness to ourselves. And from there, we can notice what's arising that wants to be met with loving awareness. And perhaps what's real in that is that awareness can be thought of as foundational to all that is. And what has shifted recently is love has come rushing in. For the longest time, I held a space of non-duality and recognizing consciousness as fundamental. And that's very important to come to explore, to see for yourself if that's true. And yet we're always meeting this moment in sessions, and I like to in my life meet this moment with loving awareness. And so that to me is what's real. What's real is this. What's real is this. And we don't need to build a philosophy around it. We can know what it's like to just come back to this just as it is right now and see, like Byron Katie says, this moment is always much kinder than what our minds would make of it. So here now I've made a distinction between this present moment as it's appearing and then thoughts about this moment. So I can do a deep dive there, or we can go from there. I'm wondering if anything's arisen for you now.
Thank you.
Any curiosity?
Very beautiful, very beautiful. And in the way that you've described that there, that is something that is actually accessible to anyone. So you're not saying you
Yes.
have to understand this or learn that or practice that. You're
Yes.
reminding us that we can find what is real in this moment, whenever we like,
Yeah.
which is just
Yes.
beautiful. And so, in the description about you, saying, that what the message you're bringing is comforting. That's a very comforting message, isn't it? The one of,
Yeah.
actually, we can do this. Any of us can do this. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And the good, go ahead.
go on. No, you do.
Well, I was just, what just came to mind is the good news in that, further good news is that all the beautiful qualities are fundamental qualities, which I take to be real as well, like truth and beauty and love and joy and freedom. They're all found here. They're ever present. That's what makes them fundamental qualities of our true nature. They're ever present. And the way we come into contact with them, or the gateway, of course, to experiencing them, is here and now, always. Always.
Amazing. So when you're working with people, do you feel that your presence is helping them to keep coming back to that?
Yeah. Yeah. And on a very, if we can address the physical level first, a physical level, if my nervous system is deeply regulated and grounded and centered, that's going to be a support. And I sometimes even encourage clients to just connect in and let that entrainment settle their system, and then they can get a better idea of what a truly settled system feels like. And we can come to that together in meditation. On another level, I'm holding a truth about them. I'm holding the truth of their being, which is love, which is this that's ever present, never born, never dying. That truth of them is held here, and that serves as well.
Yeah. So you're representing.
It's for me
that.
to not.
On their behalf.
It's for me to not waver from that.
Yeah.
The truth of that is here embodied, and so that's held in the container. Yeah. In the container.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, lucky clients. So, when can you remember when you first started asking this question? What is real?
Oh yes, yes.
44
more like 50 something years ago, in a college philosophy class. I was front and center in that class. That was the first time, honestly, that I felt like I really belonged somewhere. So I was always asking the deep questions, but the people around me didn't resonate. And so with this philosophy class, I'm front and center, and in that we were learning about idealism. And the professor was pointing out that nothing that you experience can you prove to actually exist outside of your knowing of it. And being on the edge of my seat and hanging on every word he was saying, I took that as a pointer, and I went there and I saw that what he was saying was true. So what I would say is that was the first rug pull at my whole reality. It shook my reality, as it should, as any awakening should. So that was a kind of an easy entry first awakening in my early 20s. And then it just went from there. I made the declaration right there. I'm going to find a whole truth. I know there's a whole truth. I'm going to find it. And that became my life path. Wow. With a lot of cul-de-sacs, a lot of wrong turns, wrong turns. But yeah, adventure ensued.
And how did your friends and family respond to you choosing this particular path of inquiry?
Oh boy, that's a good question. It was a long time ago. I think I would share it with those who could hear it. I was careful to share it with those who could hear it. And in that, a lot of long philosophical conversations would take place, because I thought that might be the way, is working it out through reason and the mind. And in part, that's been a big part of this journey. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when did you first start discovering other channels for it, such as meditation or other practices?
Oh boy, I went in so many directions: psychic abilities, the ascension movement in the 90s, A Course in Miracles came in really big. That I loved working with A Course in Miracles. Worked through that for a couple of years there. When did I? I think I just, the way this personality works, I think, is I pick something up, and if it is, I'll work with it as long as it works. And that would be my advice to anyone out there who's seeking, who's sincerely wanting to know their true nature. It's not the philosophy of everyone, for sure, but I say work with something as long as it's taking you somewhere, as long as it's taking you closer to the truth. And you know that, when you're coming more fully into the truth of your being. One way we know is we're more relaxed. That's a good sign. So I say pick up techniques, methods, perspectives, philosophies, and work with them as long as they work for you. And then don't be afraid to set that down and move on. We're in a very rich time right now where we have so much available, and it can be a distraction. But for someone who is sincerely seeking, and they know they're sincerely seeking, that can be helpful.
Yeah. So sincerely seeking, that's a very interesting expression, isn't it? So what does that mean, sincerely seeking? How would somebody know if they are sincerely seeking or not?
Yeah. So one common denominator that launches the sincere seeking is to see that the world doesn't have what you're looking for. The world, you've tried and tried and tried, and the world has not given you that fulfillment that you're wanting. And we also have to come into contact with that discomfort that comes from recognizing we're not fulfilled. So many of us walk through life pretending that we're fulfilled because it seems like everybody else is fulfilled and we just want to fit in. And to come to that heartbreaking recognition, I'm not fulfilled. What's missing? There's something missing here. That's an initiation in itself, to come into that recognition. And then to have the courage to actually foster that yearning to be fulfilled, no matter what it takes. I'm willing to do what it takes to reach this fulfillment. Might not even have an idea yet that you're looking for yourself. You're looking for what you fundamentally are underneath all the superimpositions that the world has placed on you, that you've placed on yourself, roles that turn into identities. And when we're identified with something other than what we are, that takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of our focus to uphold that's identity and separation. When what we're called to is something very simple. It's just relaxing back as what we authentically are.
And do you come across people who find who they authentically are without going through that experience of being unfulfilled?
Oh my goodness, Catherine, there are as many ways, as many paths to awakening as there are people here on this planet. Everyone is so unique. That's what is, it's such a cool part of what I do, is tuning into this client's particular way and what works for them. And we sometimes find that together, fine tune it, what's working for you, what isn't working for you, what hasn't worked. And so I feel like I've dropped the question. Can people find it without that? Do people come to this without going through all the steps? And I feel like I went through all the steps. It's really interesting. My particular path, I can go through and see the classical stages of awakening in very particular order and in very particular ways. And for some, it just comes, I could say it can come in a flash, but with a caveat, there's embodiment. We can know something conceptually. I can tell someone, which really does no good. I can tell someone, point to their true nature, and they can take it in as a concept. And that's one level of understanding. They can see it for themselves in an awakening experience, right? A glimpse of truth, and take that in. And that's another level of coming to know our true nature, and another level of awakening. Where the rubber meets the road, though, is in integration. That's something that I really focus on in my practice, is supporting this embodiment piece around what was seen. Because unless it's lived, it's not even half of it. It's not even half of it. To even know, to have seen clearly is a small part compared to the integration of that knowing.
Yeah. Amazing. So it sounds like you've actually explored it in the mind very fully, and also in the embodiment very fully. So you recognize what those two things look like, or feel like, and how they're different.
Three different ways. So conceptually, just like if you're reading a book, conceptually, like, oh, I think I understand this. And then there's a seeing very clearly, without a doubt, a glimpse, a true glimpse. And then the embodiment piece comes after. And for most of us, the embodiment piece has its own life. If we just surrender to it, everything that contradicts that truth that is now seen, that is now known, everything in contradiction to that comes up to be examined. So awakening inherently means more awareness. And so that means we place more awareness into every aspect of our lives. And that's not always fun. This ain't a fun process necessarily. It's not rainbows and butterflies. I want to say that. Nobody told me that. And I got a little, I went through waves of being like, they never said, they never told me about this part. Yeah. If I ever have the chance, I'm going to tell people. But it's where I would do 100 times over the challenges that I faced in my life to live this truth. I would do it again, no problem. Now, I also want to say, we're speaking of a shift as if it's one shift, where it's many. At least in my life, it was a progression. Thank goodness it was a progression. And we could say there's a very simplified way to say it is there's the head awakening, the heart awakening, and the gut awakening. And these are very distinct shifts. and can go in that order, but won't necessarily go in that order. So, and in saying that, I can say that models are helpful until they're not. So again, picking up what works and then just setting it aside. We don't want to live with the map as if it's the territory, right? We want to just use it to get, or to recognize perhaps where we are, or to know the next steps to progress forward if it's in alignment with flow. Yeah.
Amazing. So you've got this very, very broad container in the way that you're describing it, in terms of all the different ways to travel this journey, and all the ways that can be experienced, and how that can manifest. And I'm guessing that comes from your many years of experience of going through all these different. I love what you said about it's just one shift. That's certainly been my experience in my life. And sometimes you think, right, that's the shift. It's all done now. And then later on you go, oh.
Only every time, Catherine, only every time. It's like, oh, it can't get more fundamental than this. This is it. This is it. Oh, there can't be more love than this. This is it. So funny, right? So
hilarious.
Yeah, and we can, and if we can just hold that it's never ending in one way or another, it's always a deepening. And lately I've seen, it seems like each awakening is an iteration of a deeper iteration of the last in certain ways, and that can be really fun to see. Beautiful. It's also supported, yeah, and all has a kind of a life of its own. Learning to trust that stream that's carrying this awakening. It's really awakeness awakening to itself, and so it knows what it's doing, and in a way, awakening through this body mind is kind of like a ride. It can be seen that way too, and it helps to not be deeply identified with the process, and to recognize it as it's a happening, just like the clouds in the sky are passing. Right. You don't want to be the one who's awakening. Right. Go ahead.
So you're saying it's not something we have to make happen. You're saying it's a natural thing that happens.
Yes. And so this comes back to that initial yearning. So my advice is always, if someone feels an inkling towards this, is in a recognition that they're unsatisfied in life in general, and they have a sense that maybe what they are looking for is what I'm pointing to, I would suggest fostering this very uncomfortable yearning in the heart that wants knowing, that wants to know the truth. To know the truth. Yeah.
And do some people experience that yearning as a sort of an appetite for something, as opposed to a dissatisfaction?
Yes, that's it. Beautifully said. It turns into a kind of a compass on the path. And we may, some relate more to peace than to truth, or to freedom than to truth. I would say make sure it's a capital P or a capital T or a capital F. We want to make sure that we're going for that fundamental or universal, ever-present quality. And so if someone has a yearning for freedom, true freedom, a freedom that can't be taken away, there's a pointer to whether you're on the right track. It's not a freedom from things in life or life circumstances.
Like not having to pay tax.
Right.
I will be happy and everything will be great if I don't know how to pay tax. No,
right.
Not
right. No, that would be one of those marks along the way that says, no, life is not giving me this fulfillment. Yeah. So if freedom is yearned for, let's see, where was I going to go with that? Oh, so funny. So if freedom is yearned for, it's right. So it's what can't be taken away. That's what I wanted to put into context. You end up carrying that freedom with you into whatever circumstances arise. That's what we want. It is not circumstantial freedom. We carry that freedom with us into every circumstance. So
beautiful. Well, you're talking my language, because part of the work I do is to help people find the freedom that already is within, which
beautiful. Tell me more.
Has always been there.
Yes.
I'll tell you more outside the thing. But
okay.
But it's essentially what you're saying there, this idea there's something within you that you're looking for, and it's finding it within that actually provides the fulfillment, rather than waiting for the world to deliver it. Because it won't. It doesn't. It can't. Doesn't have. It can't. The exterior world cannot give us something on the inside, because by definition it's on the outside. So
exactly.
So I'm going to go back to something you said earlier, where you talked about coming into a place of awareness in the present moment, and coming into the what is real is what's now, what we're experiencing now. That is what's real. And you made a connection there, that once we connect with that, then we can perceive the world and experience the world with loving awareness.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if you can, to help bridge those two ideas for me. Why is it, or how is it that being completely aware in the present, and that what's real is this, what's happening now, this is what's real.
Yeah.
Why does that, or how does that then now mean that our awareness is a loving awareness?
I'll say awareness is naturally loving. We might not always see that, but that's seen now. Because it's love is the foundation to all things. I've seen, and I hold that love is the foundational emanation, the first, a kind of a first or a prior emanation. There was something there, though. I don't know if I answered your question, but how the present moment brings us to this would be in that the present moment is all there really is. So there may be reasons. There are two things I want to share here. One is that one may feel uncomfortable in the present, coming into present moment experience. It's more comfortable to think about the past or the future and dwell with the mind, be only in the mind, like out of the body, in the mind, and dwell what we think of as being in the past and future, but where are those thoughts occurring and when they're happening now. So there is no escape from this present moment. When we can welcome this present moment fully, and even with the discomfort, and really, I have to say, awakening is so much of just a human growing up process, just a process of maturing. We're maturing to the next level. We've been holding ourselves at a kind of teenage state here. And I want to demystify awakening by saying it's really just growing up into what's really happening. And so much of that is coming into present moment experience, even if there's discomfort here, and not seeking to escape through entertainment, through those past and future mentations, through sex, drugs, rock and roll, all of that, food, all the ways that we humans escape this moment. And so to recognize that's happening, I mean, even just to recognize, I'm eating because I'm not wanting to be with what's here right now. There's a discomfort. that's being with what is in the moment. So I wanted to throw all that in there. And how does it make it loving awareness? It's more of that. This is maybe sound like there's hubris here, but it really, it's more of just a recognition of what is what makes it loving awareness. We're recognizing that's what is.
I understand. Thank
Yeah.
you. Beautifully
Yeah.
explained. Yes. So because love is the fundamental foundational reality, when we come into awareness of reality, we are then in a space of love automatically, because it is the ground of being. It's the foundational ground of being.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I'll say it's more available. It's more available. It is available. That's the only place it's available. Now, superimpositions of, like I was saying, of identity, like if there's a notion, we are so powerful. We have no idea how powerful we are. If I have a notion I'm undeserving of love, even if I'm in this present moment, if I carry that ideation, that belief with me, I'm undeserving of love, I'm not necessarily going to experience that love. So that's what all of the integration piece is to recognize those places where we're out of alignment with what's true, and shine the light of loving awareness on those places and see through them, integrate them in a way where they're brought in, and the truth of the matter is seen and experienced. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. So, I mean, honestly, I could quite happily carry on talking to you for hours, Amara, because
same. You're delightful.
Oh, thank you. Well, because all this stuff is it just feels so profoundly nourishing to the spirit, talking about this. And, and I just love how you're sitting there sort of holding this for your clients, and you've done all this work over the years. Is there anything else you'd like to share about when people come to you, what kind of things you do with them, how you kind of interface with them?
Okay. So first and foremost, we're coming with things as they are. We're meeting each other as we are. And there are no demands placed. Again, on a certain level, on the level of the physical and mental and emotional, I can say that I have a lot of different modalities that can come into play in any session. I use sound. I use guided meditation and pointers, direct pointers to our true nature. I work in an altered state with the client in an altered state. It's a relaxed, focused state, and we might use imagery and all of this is to mostly unwind the conditioning and the tensions that we have against the present moment. And so everything's met from that present moment with ease. Again, no demands. We're just noticing what's here. It's very simple. We're just noticing what's arising now. And if a prompt is needed, I might ask, what's wrong? What's wrong right now? What feels not okay? And we meet that not okayness with love, with loving awareness, and see what unfolds, and it just reveals itself. Whatever is saying this isn't okay gets to reveal itself, gets to be seen, gets to be met. Yeah,
I could imagine that being a beautiful thing in a session of someone like you just saying, what's wrong? And something in me responded by going, I can share all sorts of things. You could imagine someone go, oh, great, I can share with this beautiful person, who's holding that space. So I can only imagine that your clients are really having a wonderful experience.
It is. And so much of that question goes to the body. You know, where is there a no? Where am I feeling contraction? And I work very somatically, not so much in the conceptual problem solving, fixing mind. We drop in and ask the body what it has to share and give voice to the body. That's
Amazing.
a big part of
Well,
it.
that, you know, I was about to ask, what do you do with the body? And that, because I had this feeling in the way you were
There we go.
that the body was
Yes.
in,
Yes.
you know, into, for some reason, I just suddenly started thinking about yin yoga, you know, where you sort of drop and let the body weight do the work. And it just, in the way you're describing your work, it sounds like a similar thing in the sense that you're following what is so and dropping into it rather than trying to force anything.
Exactly. Very natural, very easeful. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing imposed. Yeah.
Let's remind people where to find you, which is amarapalmer.com. So, Amara, I'm going to invite you to consider that there are lots of people, there are lots of other people in the world who are also following their calling, helping people, being part of the solution. You know, some of them are leaders, some of them are practitioners, some of them are parents, you know, some of them are just trying to be leaders in their own lives and be helpful. Some of those people are listening to this conversation. Is there something you'd like to say to those people?
Oh my. The quality that's coming to mind is courage. Knowing that courage isn't something that we muster up from our personality or who we are or who we are in the world. Courage is here now, waiting for you to turn towards it and experience it in your whole system. It's like any other quality, like love, like beauty. We can just turn towards it, and there it is for us, ready. Yeah, ready to be experienced. I don't know why. Maybe that was a message for a certain someone. I don't know, but courage really somehow is
That's
what
a lovely
came up.
that because we do think that courage is something we have to sort of muster up and sort of steel us. But you saying you just turn to it and it's there already.
Yeah, courage is. Courage is.
Well, beautiful message. I can feel people all over the world going, oh, thank God. Amazing. So we've talked about a lot today, which I thought we probably would, and there's so much more we could talk about. Has there been for you a favorite part of our conversation today?
Oh my. I mean, just it's more of the connection I feel with you. This is my favorite part of every interaction, is the connection, the true connection. And I feel like you've really opened yourself up to me to allow for that connection to happen. And that's what I most appreciate. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I
Thank
feel the
you.
same. I feel like you've been very, very open with what you've shared with us. And there's been this feeling of traveling this delicate journey together in the conversation. Lovingly, which has just been a beautiful experience.
Yes. Yes. You've made it easy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
So this has been just a beautiful conversation. So everybody watching and listening, do check out amarapalmer.com. And I also work with people, helping them step deeper into their calling. So if you're following your calling and you're feeling yourself wanting to step deeper into it, you might fancy having a chat with me, and you can find a link in the show notes for a clarity call. So, Amara, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
And everybody, I'll see you next week.